Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, مَا أَصَابَ مِن مُصِيبَةٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. There is absolutely no disaster that strikes except by Allah's permission. Now, when you believe that, Allah said, وَمَن يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ. And anyone who believes in Allah. What does that mean? Meaning you acknowledge the calamity came from Allah by Allah's permission, and then you have to have faith in Allah. Hold on to your faith and belief and trust in Allah. If you believe in Allah and you have faith in Allah, you don't lose your faith in Allah. What happens? Allah gifts you with something beautiful. يَهْدِ قَلْبَهِ. Allah would guide your heart so that everything you'll do from then on would be correct بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. وَاللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. And Allah Azza wa Jal is knowing of all things. And then the next ayah, Allah said, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولِ. And obey Allah and obey His Messenger. As though Allah is telling us, don't you dare neglect the obedience of Allah and His Messenger after the calamity has struck upon you and it has become severe. Don't you dare neglect the obedience of Allah. My brothers and sisters in Islam, don't neglect the obedience of Allah in the middle of your calamity, in the middle of your sickness and illness. Ya akhwani, my brothers and sisters in Islam, uqsimu billah, losing one salat purposely, neglecting one salat purposely is worse than losing a limb to sickness. It's worse than losing your health. It's worse than losing your parents. It's worse than losing your children or your wealth or your job or your income. Losing one salat purposely is worse than losing your health. Yes, because losing one salat purposely earns a person a major sin. Perhaps he could be punished because of that. But losing a limb, or losing a child, or losing a parent, or losing money, or losing your health, if you are to remain patient, that becomes a source of hasanat. It becomes a source of purification for you. It raises your ranks and levels in the paradise. It earns you Allah's pleasure and His love and His mercy. Don't give up worship in the middle of a calamity. Rather, increase your worship, because the calamity is only there to wake you up and to say to you, the road is this way. Go to Allah, turn to Allah, raise your hand to Allah, make a tawbah, make istighfar, pray and increase in your prayers. The way you are, you're sick, you're ill, you can't get up, pray the way you are. But understand these meanings, my brothers and sisters in Islam.
To conceal some of the good deeds that you do and to train yourself to worship Allah Almighty in privacy as you do in public. The greatest cure for riya, showing off, is ikhfa, concealment. And that is why Adiyah al-Maqdisi narrates on the authority of Zubayr ibn al-Awwam that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, من استطاع منكم أن يكون له خبيئة من عمل صالح فليفعل. He said, whoever of you is able to carry out some acts of worship in privacy, then let him do that. Because if you know that if you've trained yourself to cry in privacy, it doesn't bother you as much when you cry in public. When you know that you pray in privacy, you're not so affected if you have to pray in public. You've trained yourself to worship Allah in privacy. The fear is when you only know how to worship Allah Almighty in public, and you are a very average, though a below average person in private. I'll give you examples of people who behaved in this way, protecting their good deeds and hiding it from others. Hassan ibn Abi Sinan's wife, she said, my husband used to come and lie down next to me in the bed, and then he would trick me as a mother tricks her child. He would wait to see me falling asleep, then he would slip away from the bed, he would begin to pray, wanting to what? Show Allah Almighty this adab of ikhlas, sincerity. Muhammad ibn Wasi', the tabi'i, the second generation Muslim, he said, people in the past, some of them would weep from the fear of Allah, or love from Allah, or hope in Allah. They would weep for 20 years throughout their salah or the night. 20 years without even their wife knowing. When I began to think to myself, how would Muhammad ibn Wasi' know this? Like, if he's talking about a people whom even their wives don't know about the situation, how would he know? I came to the conclusion perhaps that he's talking about who? Talking about himself. Ayyub al-Sikhtiyani from the second generation Muslims, he would be speaking to people like this, teaching them. Then he would come across a hadith, his heart would move and he would begin to weep. So he would turn away and pretend that he has a cold, and he'd blow into his handkerchief and he would say, Ma ashad al-zukam, cold flus are so intense, to hide the fact that he is weeping, blaming it on a cold, wanting to protect his deeds so Allah will accept him, to show adab towards his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ikhlas, sincerity.